Welcome back to Starfish. Today we're diving into the complex narratives surrounding the ongoing Russia-Ukraine conflict. These stories are deeply opposing and reflect not just differing opinions but fundamental differences in perspectives on legitimacy and motivations with historical context. The Russian narrative emphasizes a defensive stance against Western encroachment and a historical claim to Ukrainian territory, while the Western narrative portrays the conflict as an unprovoked aggression against a sovereign nation. Understanding these contrasting perspectives is crucial for grasping the complexities of the ongoing war and its implications for international relations. The Russian government's narrative categorizes the Ukraine conflict as a special military operation and claims it is necessary to protect Russian-speaking populations and national security from Western encroachment. Since its invasion began on February 24, 2022, Russia has framed its actions as a response to NATO's expansion and its alleged threats to Russian sovereignty. This interpretation positions Russia not as the aggressor but as a defender against Western imperialism and aiming to restore its influence in what it perceives as its historical sphere. Crimea serves as a focal point in the Russian narrative. Russia views Crimea as an integral part of its territory with claims rooted in historical accounts dating back to the time of Catherine the Great, who annexed Crimea from the Ottoman Empire. Russian President Vladimir Putin has articulated arguments reflecting a belief that Crimea should rightfully belong to Russia and emphasizing that its transfer to Ukraine in 1954 was undeserved. The Kremlin perceives the presence of ethnic Russians in Ukraine as a justification for intervention and employing rhetoric that emphasizes the need to protect these populations from perceived threats. This notion of demographic importance is tied to the broader concept of Ruski Mir or the Russian world, which the Kremlin uses as a strategic tool to extend its influence over neighboring countries and assert cultural dominance. The Western community broadly views Russia as a rogue state undermining established international norms of behavior, particularly regarding democratic principles and human rights. Support for Ukraine is framed as a moral imperative to uphold democracy and protect a nation under attack. Many Western analysts argue that the promise of EU and NATO membership to Eastern European countries has provoked Russian paranoia about losing its sphere of influence. This narrative often points to historical precedents asserting that Russia had previously refrained from aggressive actions when Western institutions expanded into Central and Eastern Europe post-Cold War. The perception of Ukraine as a strategic asset has led to a more aggressive Russian response than in previous instances. State-controlled Russian media reinforcing the government's perspective while framing dissent as unpatriotic. Western media outlets often aim to provide diverse viewpoints but predominantly support Ukrainian sovereignty and criticize Russian actions. This divergence shapes public perception on both sides, contributing to entrenched views and complicating efforts for dialogue. Both sides are unable to reconcile their foundational beliefs about legality and morality with historical grievances, making the prospects for a negotiated settlement more challenging. While some scholars suggest the need for compromise to stabilize Eastern Europe, prevailing narratives often hinder constructive discussions. Each side views the conflict through its ideological lens, making it difficult to achieve mutual understanding. Complex geopolitical landscape in which efforts for peace and reconciliation are fraught with challenges. A comprehensive understanding of both perspectives is essential for international stakeholders aiming to facilitate dialogue and bridge divides. Without addressing the foundational issues and historical grievances perceived by both sides, the likelihood of sustained peace remains tenuous, with widespread implications for European stability and global order. The Russia-Ukraine conflict illustrates the profound impact of historical narratives and demographics with national identity on international relations. For a constructive resolution to emerge, stakeholders must navigate these complexities while promoting a dialogue that respects the sovereign rights of all nations involved, facilitating an environment conducive to lasting peace. The Russia-Ukraine conflict serves as a vivid example of how historical events significantly influence international relations. For a constructive resolution, it's essential for all parties to navigate these complexities and promote dialogue that respects the rights of all nations involved. Thanks for tuning in. If you found this analysis enlightening, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more insights. See you in the next video.